Alright, hello again. Jeff Scott, your instructor for 152-145 Advanced Java Programming for the fall 2015 semester at Blackhawk Technical College. I'm about a third of the way through with this, and I'm jumping into the topping panel. So far we had our title up on top that said Brandis Bagel House, and now we just created our two bagels types, and now we're going to do the toppings. Alright, and that's a little bit more complex because we're having checkboxes. Because 0, 1, 2, 3, or all four of these, any combination thereof, can be selected. All right, so jumping back to our code. You've seen what I've got so far, so I'm going to save that, and I'm going to File, New, put in another class, and that class will be called Topping Panel. Alright, before we do that, I'm going to go back to my Bagel panel like I did earlier and just grab that particular code and throw it in here. Alright, so again, this is the topping panel. So this is the topping panel, which exists in the, I guess it's in the center portion of the screen. The topping panel allows the user to select their favorite bagel toppings. Not exactly what it says in the book, but I like what I'm saying better here. Alright, so I'm coming into here now, and again this is also, did I fix that extended J panel, and that extended J panel. Good. Want to make sure that both of them did. Now I can copy that here. So that's also going to extend J panel. Alright. Create program constants again. First one is cream cheese, and it's equal to 0.50, or it's 50 cents. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit here because I'm going to just automatically add the other four. I'll get errors now because these are redefined, so we'll fix this. Butter, oops, and that's going to be equal to 25. Then we've got peach jelly and blueberry jam. And those are each 75 cents. So again, we don't have to do this, but if we want to, pretty it up a little bit, okay, there's our constants. Create program variables. And we're going to have 4 checkboxes. One for each of the things that you just saw up above. So there's the first one, cream cheese. Oops. And again, I'm going to come in here as we did earlier and just copy them. And then we'll have butter. We'll have peach jelly. And we'll have blueberry jam. Put our mouse here and we'll import the J checkbox. Okay, so as of right now we have no errors, so let's put in our constructor. If you are following along, I'm on the bottom of page 817. Again, we're going to create a grid layout just as we did before, but this is going to have 4 rows. I'm just going to steal the one that I did earlier. So I'm going to create a grid layout. This time it's going to have 4 rows and 1 column, which means that's going to have to be a 4. And whatever error we have, hopefully it'll be fixed in a minute. So set layout, new grid layout, 4-1, because that is correct. All right, create checkboxes. It doesn't like something here also. There's that. There's our constructor. So I started doing the constructor incorrectly. So we want to say here public topping panel. And I'll put in my ending curly in just a second. There. Now hopefully that removed any and all errors that we had. All right, create checkboxes. Again, that one looks like it's okay now, so I'm going to copy that 4 times. So we've got cream cheese, we've got butter, we've got peach jam, and we have blueberry jam. I guess the other one was peach jelly. All right. We'll fix that blueberry in just a second. Should fix that. And this will have to say blueberry jam. All right, I now have everything done as far as I can tell on page 817. So I'm going to finish what's on 818, then I'm going to do the coffee panel, which is about the same size, and we'll stop, and then we'll put it all together again. So just like we did before, we're going to add a border around the panel. All right, so we've already done that. We did that in here, so I'm just going to, again, grab that. One change to it because we don't want to set that border bagel. We want to set that as be as border toppings, I believe. Is sticky. I think that's it for our constructor. Comments on the last one too, didn't I? Begin constructor and end constructor. Good. here too. Begin, get bagel cost, and end, get bagel cost. This is begin bagel panel, and then this then becomes end bagel panel. That one's pretty well done. Let's check our greeting one out. Put here begin greeting panel, and here we'll put end greeting panel. And here we're going to put begin constructor. Here we're going to put end constructor. All right, so that one should be done. This one, we still have that problem with that thing that says true on it. So we'll have to fix that, hopefully. All right, and now we're down to here. So we finished our constructor. The get topping cost method returns the cost of the selected toppings. Makes sense? We have to declare our variable, and that is a double, which is called topping cost. Set that equal to 0.0. Spell double correctly. And now we just got a big if statement in here. Okay, so now we don't need that anymore. Oh, we don't have the return, so we want to return the topping cost. Now we need our, we need our big if statement in here. Determine which, if any, toppings have been selected. And we'll change this to 0 or more. Okay. All right. If cream cheese dot is selected. All right, so that means that particular check box was checked. Topping cost. And notice when we're saying this, they put plus equals instead of equals or whatever, because we don't have any idea in which order they're going to choose their toppings. Just because that's the first one that's listed there doesn't necessarily mean that that is exactly the order in which they're going to do this. So if butter is selected, then we want to add the cost of butter. if peach jelly is selected, you want to add peach jelly. And finally, if blueberry jam is selected, then we want to add blueberry jam. And I believe that one is peach underscore jelly, which is why we're getting that error. All right. And then we want to return it, like we said. Put a bunch of blanks in here. Return that. So that one's done. All right, so I right now have completed, first we did the greeting panel, then we did the bagel panel, then we did the topping panel. So next is going to be the coffee panel. But before we do that, if I jump back into my book and I look, and change the page here, this is what we just added. All right, so now we have to add the 4 kinds of coffee. And these are radio buttons, and it's going to be in some ways very similar to what we did earlier. So what I'm going to do is kind of, for lack of better words, cheat a little bit. And we're going to come in here, we're going to create our next one. So I'm going to do new class, and this one will be coffee panel. Go back to topping and make sure that, yep, I did extend the panel, J panel, like I've been doing every time. That's good. Alright, so that's all done. Begin coffee panel and end coffee panel. Okay, I have to stop for a minute. I'm at home working and my dryer is done. Alright, I'm continuing it on, and I'm going to do my coffee panel right now. Again, the coffee panel will hold the 4 radio buttons for our coffee selection, and that's shown in a lot earlier, but so you can get no coffee, regular coffee, a decaffeinated coffee, or a cappuccino. Alright, okay. So there it is. I'll grab this one and copy on down. I'm trying to put at least a minimum of documentation in here. So this is the coffee panel, which exists in the east portion of the screen. The coffee panel allows the user to select their favorite coffee. Or no coffee at all. Okay? Alright. So again, create program constants. Just going to do that right there 4 times. Alright, and the first one will be no coffee. Set that equal to 0.0 because I'm not going to charge them because they didn't get any coffee. Regular coffee, which is going to be equal to 1.25. Decaf coffee, which we're setting equal to 1.25. And finally, and I'm wondering why these aren't highlighted in blue, but I don't see any errors, so cappuccino. And we have set that equal to $2. Alright, so that's those. Next we have to create our program variables, and that is going to involve setting up 4 different radio buttons, one for each of the things that you see above. So private J radio button, no coffee. And again, ideally we're using names that are good enough in here that they just make sense to people. Whereas in the book they put a comment here that said no coffee and regular coffee. I'm just leaving those out. Alright, so those are our 4 radio buttons. We also have to create a radio button group. And we're going to get another error probably for that. So we'll have to also come in here and import the button group class. Okay. Alright. So I'm turning to page 820 and I'm now going to do the constructor for this class. So we'll begin coffee panel. How about I try to be consistent, begin constructor, and here we will end constructor. Okay. Create grid layout manager with 4 rows and 1 column. Done this before. Set layout to a new JGrid layout or grid layout with 4 rows and 1 column. We have to import the grid layout class again, as we've been doing. Now we want to create a radio buttons. In fact, here they are. So that's that one. I'm just going to, like I said, I like doing this to make sure I don't make any spelling errors. It'll give me other errors that it'll mark up for right now, but I don't worry about that because I'll fix those in just a minute. Alright, so this equals new J radio button. One in there, none, because you don't want any coffee if it's no coffee. Probably going to get the same thing here when I put in true like we did before. We did that before and we got an error on there, so we might again. But that one looks like it's not. That's interesting. Alright. one is an error. Regular coffee equals no J radio button. Regular coffee, true. Whereas here, oops. Huh. Still trying to figure that out. I'm going to grab that one. It's right there and copy it just to see if I did anything differently there. So I'd like to run this and have it run first time right away, ideally. G radio button. And that one doesn't show as an error either, so I'm going to try putting that one in there again. New J radio button. White. True. Alright, so that one is not in error any longer. Alright. So I'm on my coffee panel. Good time to save. Alright. So we've created the radio buttons, group radio buttons, and add to panel. So I want to create my button group. Then I want to start doing ads. Add no coffee, and then I'm going to add regular coffee, and then I'm going to add decaf coffee, and finally I'm going to add cappuccino. Alright, again, as I've done before, I'm going to add that border. Add a border around it. Instead of toppings, that will say coffee. Okay. And now I want to add the radio buttons to the panel. So that's all done. That's the end of my constructor. Alright, now I want to create my other method here. So the get coffee cost. Method returns the cost of the selected coffee, right? Don't need that. Do need that. Okay. Public double get coffee cost. Now, begin, get coffee cost, and end, get coffee cost. Again, this is very similar to to something that I've already done in the last one. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab all that and then just make the changes accordingly. Alright? So I'm going to grab all of this and then just copy it into here. I think at least that's going to help a lot in the amount of time it takes to create this. So, all right, declare variable. So that'll be coffee cost instead of topping. So to determine which coffee selection was selected. All right. So this is no coffee. And actually what we're doing right here, we don't even have to do because we're adding 0 to it. But it's fine. It's not gonna, definitely not gonna hurt anything. So we've got no coffee, and then we've got regular coffee. And here we've got decaf coffee. And down here we've got cappuccino. Okay, that should be everything as far as I know. And then we have to return, instead of the topping cost, we have to return the coffee cost. I spelled that wrong. That should now go, all those should go away. So, and it's not peach jelly. It's decaf coffee. And this last one isn't blueberry jam. It's cappuccino. That is the problem that you get with doing a lot of this copying and pasting, as I've just done, is the chance to come up with errors. All right, but I'm going to save this. Right now, as far as I can tell, I don't have any errors in here. What I should have just done now is I should have come in and just added this right here. So in the next series of lectures, in the next lecture, I'm going to write the class that's going to build the window and add the calculate and exit buttons. As it says, we're going to call it order calculator GUI, and it's going to extend JFrame. It'll use a border layout. So again, north, west, center, east, nothing directly in the south, but we'll add our own stuff in there. So that's what's next. We'll be back with that very shortly.